Can I be blunt with you for a moment? Not just direct, but say some things that'll make some people mad? The current process of buying a used boat is flawed, riddled with misinformation and deception. However, if you're buying a used boat, you can take steps to protect yourself. Respected marine surveyor Kels Christian of Christian & Company Marine Surveyors posted an article on their company website titled Disclosure. In it, he said, quote, "While disclosure of any known problem is a legal requirement during the sale of real property, it's not necessarily so in the sale of a vessel." End quote. Even though you think you're doing your due diligence by ordering a marine survey and sea trial, it leaves most buyers with terrifying thoughts like, do I really have the whole story about this boat? What if the seller is not forthcoming? What if issues and defects exist that the marine surveyor doesn't discover? You don't know, and not knowing can drive you crazy. Buyers deserve straight answers to very important questions like, does the seller of a used boat have an obligation to disclose? The answer may surprise you, and what you don't know prior to purchase can cost you big and quickly sour the sweet feeling of boat ownership.
Hi, I'm Kay. As a wife and mother, let me ask you if you've considered this. If you buy a used car and it breaks down, you can simply wait on the side of the road until help arrives. Not so in a boat. On the water, perhaps at night. What will you do if your boat breaks down, has an electrical fire or worse? With you, your family and friends on board. The stakes are too high. We can't allow the flawed used boat buying process that Hank describes to you today to continue.
Thanks, Kay. What a great question. It's one thing to buy a good used boat and another to buy someone else's problem. That's why in this video, I share an extremely effective way to get the facts on the condition of any boat buyers have interest in before investing in or wasting money on a marine survey. Defects that often a marine surveyor misses or that a basic survey is simply not detailed enough to reveal. And the best part is, I'll show fellow boaters how to get this priceless information on any boat they're considering buying. But before we go too far, let's get one thing straight. We don't recommend that anyone purchase a boat without an inspection, marine survey, and sea trial. However, consider this. What if you found several good prospects? You're certainly not going to hire a marine surveyor to survey every boat on your list. How do you weed out the bad boats so you can focus on the good ones? If I've held your attention up to this point, there's a good reason for it. While most people like to think they're too smart to fall for these deceptive practices, it's this thinking that makes us all that much more susceptible. In fact, Tom Pilkington, owner of Prestige Yacht Sales, wrote an article titled, "Full Disclosure in Yacht Sales, Really?" He shed light on what is likely the most heart-wrenching reality a buyer faces. Quote, "Thousands of dollars are wasted on surveys that discover defects known by the broker before the survey even starts." End quote. Are you beginning to see how flawed this process really is? Let me ask you a question. If the seller is likely the one with the most knowledge of the boat's condition, why do they get to sit quietly without disclosing known problems and defects? Don't they have an obligation, or better yet, isn't full disclosure the right thing to do? Sellers and brokers often use language in the purchase contract that states you are buying a boat as is, where is. Does the clause as is, where is relieve the seller and broker of their duty to disclose known boat defects or issues? Yacht lawyer Andrew High, founder of Luxury Law Group, states in his article titled, "What Does As Is, Where Is Really Mean in Yacht Deals?" provides the answer. Quote, "It is generally established law that regardless of the existence of an as-is clause, a seller will still be liable where they have actively engaged in fraud to conceal a known defect or condition." End quote. Of course, you might be wondering, How can I better protect myself when buying a used boat? Here's how. A seller has an obligation to disclose the issues and defects about their boat. If asked specific questions, they have to answer truthfully. Failing to do so could be considered fraud. These questions need to be very specific. What to ask and how you document the seller's responses is critical. Think about what it would feel like to buy with confidence knowing that you've made a wiser choice and substantially increased your odds of buying a good boat that you did not overpay for. Look, no used boat is perfect, but you have the right to know fully what you're buying, what issues and defects exist, so you can determine if the boat is right for you. Sellers no longer have an unfair advantage when buyers use the boat seller's disclosure. However, don't be fooled by vague, non-specific imitations. Our boat seller's disclosure covers from the bow to the stern, electronics, mechanical, electrical systems, tanks, plumbing, pumps, hull, head, core, and more. Power boats, sailboats, and boat trailers, items that you'd never think to ask about or get the answers to in writing. It takes about an hour for the seller to complete unless extensive repairs require him to look for and attach supporting documentation. Smart buyers use the boat seller's disclosure to discover costly defects and unsafe issues. Use what they discover to negotiate a lower purchase price. Weed out bad boats before wasting money on a marine survey. Get their most pressing questions answered by the person who likely knows the boat best, the seller. The bottom line is, while a boat seller's disclosure does not take the place of an inspection, sea trial, and marine survey, it should be your first step towards purchase. The mere $37 investment is a wise decision for buyers and just may help you determine if that is a boat you should pass on before spending that $500 or more on a survey, only to find that the boat has defects or issues that are deal breakers. A boat is an expensive investment, costing as much or more than a nice home. If a home seller must disclose, so should a boat seller. I was recently asked, what if the seller refuses to complete the seller's disclosure? My answer is simple. Their refusal to disclose should serve as a red flag and warning to you that you should go and find another boat and only negotiate with a seller who is forthcoming about the actual condition of their boat. The boat seller's disclosure will dramatically increase your odds of buying a good used boat and not someone else's problem. The information you gain from the seller will help you to determine if you should move forward with a survey and a sea trial or walk away from a problematic boat.
Don't assume, be misled, or take shortcuts when buying a used boat. Protect yourself and your most precious cargo on board, your family. Click Buy Now. The mere $37 investment for this very detailed form can dramatically increase the odds of you buying a good boat, a safer boat, helping to ensure that the memories you create on the boat you purchase are happy ones.